everyone. Welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta.
And I'm Connie, and today we are here with Melissa. So, Melissa, how do you deal when shit gets real? Or just tell us about yourself.
Well, I do drink a lot of coffee, so that's my go-to. But yes, I am Melissa. I am the owner of Southern Sweet and Sassy, and we are a military spouse and veteran-owned roast-to-table coffee company. Strictly e-commerce, no brick and mortar here.
That's actually one of our first questions. Do you think there's ever going to be like a brick and mortar store in your future?
At this time, I don't really think that there is, because it kind of negates the whole roast to table aspect that my company prides itself on. Because having a brick and mortar would mean we would have inventory. And if we have inventory, we wouldn't roast our beans to order. So it's something I might think of later on down the line. But right now, I like being different.
Now that makes sense.
Like a cute, like little, like coffee shop is more like what I was thinking. Like a great, like on-base coffee shop. I don't know. Things just come to me.
That would actually be kind of cool if I can have a coffee shop on base serving the military population only. I might rethink that.
Hey, ideas, I'm just throwing out some ideas.
I would totally be there. I don't drink coffee as much. Well, I have to drink decaf. I love coffee. Coffee does not like me. So I have to usually drink decaf. So as long as you have decaf options, I would be there.
I do. I have 2 decaf options. I have a 6-bean blend and I have a Peruvian citrus. So,
ooh, that sounds super fancy.
Both me and Rietta at the same time. Ooh.
Yeah. It's one of those where you drink it, with the pinky up.
Oh, sounds like it, honestly.
We're going to have to pretend we're in like Bridgerton or something, drinking coffee.
Exactly.
I want to know what your favorite coffee drink is, since you make coffee and you live and breathe coffee. What is your favorite coffee drink? And like, if you just make coffee at home, like how do you take it? Cream, sugar, black?
My favorite coffee out of my coffee, of course, is Bali Blue River. And it is one of my single origins. So it's a really good, it's like a medium roast. But of course, I love really all my coffee. But I use a French press. I completely stand behind using a French press when you make your coffee at home, because you really get the taste of like the full bodied taste of the coffee, as well as, the oils that the coffee kind of steeps in. So I'm not really a K-cup drinker. And the percolator, the percolator is kind of a little old school, but the French press is the way to go.
100% agree.
Have you branched into the world of espresso machines?
Not the espresso machines. No, I have not. But I do have a line of espresso that I am working on putting on my website. Ooh. It's slowly but surely, because you have to think about, I have 38 different types of coffees, and I can also have 38 different types of espressos, but it requires me completing the labels and the FDA requirements and the back end, put it on my website. So it'll get there eventually.
Also, a funny story about French presses. My husband has literally broken 4, if not more. Like, I can't even keep track at this point. Because and it's not even like, oh, you're pouring in like the water too hot or anything like that. It's like, oh, I accidentally knocked it against our granite countertops and it has shattered everywhere. And that's pretty much happened to all of ours. I was like, are you serious?
I was going to ask, how in the world do you break a French press? But yeah, I can see the glass beakers, and I have 2 glass ones, but I have stainless steel insulated ones on my website.
Ooh,
so you can't break that unless you're really, really special.
Sometimes I think he has one time it was literally like he took it out of the dishwasher and set it down and it just broke. I was like, how? How does this happen? I don't understand.
I definitely agree, though, that the French press is the best. I never really noticed the difference until you actually make it. And then you're like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the same. Earlier this year, I had a K-cup, like a Keurig maker. And then I switched it for a pour over. So I had the funnel with the filter in it over my cup, and I was just pouring it over cup by cup, which was another way to get that full-bodied flavor, but you're doing it cup by cup. And this way, I'm able to do it in the French press, and I can have 2 to 3 cups in just one sitting. So
Pour over. It's a lot of work for a pour over.
it is.
My husband always wanted to try it, but he then decided to switch to espresso. We got an espresso machine.
My friend likes to do the pour over just because she like keeps the electric stove on like the lowest setting, so it keeps the hot water hot. So she's always getting like a piping hot cup of coffee, you know, where like if the French press sits there long enough, it can get cold. And that's like her only reasoning for it. But I definitely prefer the French press also, just because, like you said, you get it all in one sitting.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and they have that special like filters that you have to buy. You know, there's no real filter for the French press. For the other ones, you have that little filter, right? That's all the ones that I can think of have that like special cone filter, because you can't even use just a regular, you know, coffee filter. So
Yeah.
Right? No? Am I right, Melissa?
So
I don't remember.
So for the pour over that I had, it was actually a stainless steel. It is like a stainless steel cone, but I take regular coffee filters and I put it inside that, so I don't have the mess to clean up, because I just take it out like you do a regular percolator. So it wasn't super messy, but it also helps filtering out the coffee. I think even though the French press is, like I said, in my opinion, the best way to go, it's a little bit messier because you have to take out the, you know, the, what do you call it? The handle, like the lead, and you have to clean the filter that it's attached to, and you have to take the grounds out of the bottom. But again, I still stand by the French press.
Check out your stainless steel ones for sure.
Especially for my klutzy husband, apparently. And it's like the only thing that he's like consistently broken.
Mine is always my coffee cups. And then he complains why I have so many coffee cups. And I'm sitting here be like, because you break them in the dishwasher. Every time they come out, there's a new chip. And then, of course, I still get the complaint that you just have too much. And I tell him, well, I'm just going to have to build, you know, build-ins, and that's just where they're going to sit.
Love it.
You never have too many coffee cups. That's crazy.
No, never.
I don't remember if you answered. How do you take your coffee? Do you take it with like cream and sugar? Do you make like a little bit of like whip?
It's really all of them. I can drink my coffee black, especially my actual coffee, because it's very smooth and it has low acidic taste to it. But I can drink it black. I can drink it with cream and sugar. Although I'm really not a regular cream and sugar type person, I can still take it like that, especially hotel coffee. But I really like just having a little bit of actual, you know, coffee creamer in there. Specifically, sweet cream is my favorite. Putting a little bit of that in there. And then there's coconut flavor.
Ooh.
I'm a really big coconut person. So a little bit of that coconut flavor, but not a whole lot.
Nice. I know I take mine with almond milk. My husband makes the espresso. And then we have like a sugar-free caramel that I put in. It's pretty close to like I make a macchiato at home instead of spending like the $5 to get one from Starbucks. But I'm still a sucker for Starbucks on occasion too, so whatever.
Yeah, it's so much cheaper making coffee at home, and nowadays with a lot of people working remotely, you know, just makes sense saving that money. Yeah, I do like Starbucks too.
I know. It's like I can't help it. It's like right there. It's convenient. It's on my way to the store, gosh darn it.
Mine too. And especially during summer when you have like the frappuccinos and it's all frozen, and yes.
Sometimes it's just like, but I want a treat.
I call it dessert coffee.
It really is.
I think Starbucks
Absolutely.
is a dessert coffee.
Definitely.
Yes.
So I know one of the biggest questions right now is because we've been in COVID for so long. Has COVID affected your business?
No, actually, I think it's been perfect for my business, because now most people are, you know, purchasing coffee online and just having it shipped directly to them. So I think e-commerce as a whole, it has been booming even more so during what happened with COVID.
Well, that's amazing then. COVID was a benefit for you, which, I mean, heck yeah.
Yeah, benefit. It's a win.
What inspired you to create Southern Sweet and Sassy?
So I'm a huge coffee lover, and it was one of the big things with my time in the Navy. It also kept me sane during deployment. So when my husband was deployed, you know, we have 4 kids, and when you have 4 kids under the age of like 7 and 8, you need to have something to help relax you. So for me, it's something that I do every day. And there's another reasoning behind it as well, not just because I love it, but it's the focal point of really any good conversation. I mean, if you think about it, minus the unicorns that drink tea. So if you think about it, it really is the, focal point of any good conversation. And for me, it's about that connection. It's about connecting with, a friend. It's about connecting with family. I'm really big, with the military community. So it's about connecting military families with military families, or the spouses with the spouses, especially during transition time. So it just kind of helps create an inclusive environment.
Where did the name come from?
Oh, let me tell you about this name. Okay, so I love this part. I'm actually a California native. So I was born and raised in California before I joined the Navy, and my husband is from South Carolina. So we retired here in South Carolina. So I'm kind of like a South Carolinian transplant. So that's where the Southern comes from. But Sweet and Sassy is because I am a Puerto Rican Gemini, and that within itself can be kind of like crazy sauce.
So it encompasses all things you. I like it.
All things me.
Do people sometimes not realize it's a like coffee company, like a roast coffee to table type of company? Do you ever have any issues with that?
I do. And to be honest, when I came up with the name, and this is what I wanted to name my company, I didn't even think about that aspect. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool because it really, like we were saying, it really does encompass everything me. But I didn't think that people would automatically assume I'm a bakery. Oh. I would love to be a bakery. I would love to actually bake these really good treats that people can eat, but I'm just not that creative.
To me, though, it does encompass coffee, because like I didn't even like Rietta brought up that question to me, and I was like, but that is coffee. It's sweet and sassy. Like it's giving you that that pep. And then I was like, oh yeah, no, I can see. Then it's like, it takes you a second. You're like, oh yeah, no, it could be something different. You're right. It's not automatically assumed that is a coffee company.
I was just saying, I do love the name. I think it's great, but I just know like my mind originally when I heard Southern Sweet and Sassy it wasn't coffee. It was almost like you said, like baked goods or some type of food.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of why in the logo itself, I put coffee as like the focal point, but it never fails. It never fails. If you see the name without the logo, then that's kind of like what goes to people's minds first is, baked goods. But when you see the logo, then it just kind of makes sense.
Yeah, the logo is super cute, and that definitely helps. Gotta have that little coffee cup.
Just like actually in our like little logo design, what is there in the middle? Coffee cups for our podcast. Because we're like, it was because this is a conversation between people. Exactly. So you're 100% right, correct.
Yep.
Love that you said that aspect, because I've definitely had a lot of good like memories and conversations over coffee for sure. So
yeah,
coffee's just my go-to. I wouldn't be walking, talking.
My kids are alive because I drink coffee.
Yeah, otherwise you're gonna strangle them. And I don't even have kids, but I imagine that's what it would be like.
Yeah, it's just like you just have to stop and say, okay, just give me 5 minutes and then we'll revisit what you just done.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
So as a fellow military spouse, something that I always love to ask other military spouses is, you guys have been in for a long time, 17 years. What's one of the favorite places that you've been stationed?
So we're actually retired now. So my husband retired at 20. We've been married 17 years. And then I've had my time in. But I have two places that I absolutely love. And the first one is Hawaii. So we were stationed there for two tour duty stations. So we were stationed there twice, and it was back to back. So it wasn't like, we went back. But that's actually where we met. And that's where I was stationed. We were doing the same job in the same shop, working with torpedoes.
How cool.
Yes. And we met each other that way. And it was because our first class is the only reason we ended up getting together, because I think we were kind of skirting around each other, not wanting to make the first move. So yeah, and we got married there in Hickam, and it was wonderful. But then the next one is in Washington State. I love Washington State. Everybody's like, well, it just rains so much and it's so dreary. No. It is beautiful. And the air quality is amazing. And there's just so many things to do, so many things to see. But yeah, it was, those two are my favorite places.
I've heard nothing but good things about Washington. I just had a friend of mine she's Army. They just left Washington State for Korea, and she was so sad to leave Washington.
Yes, it's a beautiful state. Oh my goodness, I loved it. And we walked to I think it was Snoqualmie Falls. I think that's how you say it, Snoqualmie Falls. And we walked there, and it was, I love it.
Yeah, actually, Rietta's in Hawaii, and then I just went and I visited her recently. So
how'd you like it?
I wish I would have had more time. Way too much to do in just a week. I was like, damn you, Tom, why didn't you have more time off?
Yes, we used to go to Bellows. We went to Bellows, and let me tell you a little story about Bellows. I got stung by man-o-wars on both ankles at Bellows for the first time. Yeah, for the first time, and it's never happened since. I also did I don't know what you would call it, like over at the golf area where you're doing like the line drive.
Oh, the driving range?
Yes, the driving range. So I did that too, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Bellows is kind of notorious for man-o-war. We've only gone a couple times, and only the 2 times that we've gone, both times the beach has been covered with man-o-wars. It must just be like where it is that they just all like funnel in there or whatever. But yeah, they're nasty.
Those things are the worst.
They're jellyfish.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, layman's term here. I wasn't on the island. Give me the layman's terms.
Yeah, they're just jelly. They're just jellyfish. That's just their official name.
So what advice would you give a small business owner or somebody who's just starting a business?
Oh my goodness. If you are military affiliated in any way, get together with those organizations that will help, like AMSI, the Rosie Network. There's others too. Act Now Education. So Act Now Education, actually, if I did not reach out to Act Now Education, I would have never gotten connected with Jay Salters, and I would have never been pointed in the direction by him to all these wonderful organizations. And it's because of them I'm where I'm at today. If I didn't have those connections or those works, I don't think my company would be as successful as it is today at all.
Jay is the man. He's awesome.
Amazing. He's amazing. And just all that he does while being on active duty and deployed.
Yep.
It's like, Jay, get some sleep.
Yeah, he's got like all the companies, because there's like Vets to CEO and Dog Tag. It's like Patriot Boot Camp. Like there's a whole bunch of them.
There's so many. Wow. So many. And I went through Vets to CEO, which was very much so like Service to CEO, which I just graduated from the Rosie Network. So I graduated that. Now I'm going through Bunker Labs, the veterans and residents. So I'm a part of that right now.
Awesome. I applied to Bunker, but didn't get accepted this year, but that's totally fine.
Yeah. But I'm like, if I never connected with Jay, just by chance, I would have never been pointed anywhere. I would have never known.
Yeah. So what about for our non-military friends? Anything you've got for our non-military friends?
I would say reach out to your local SBA, but you're really going to have to be on top of them, because if you don't harass them, they're just not very communicative. They're not super helpful. So to definitely, keep going at them.
Well, and for the business in general, because it's not easy.
It is not easy. I mean, even I, have been trying to get information for my certifications through the SBA, because, you're woman owned, you're minority owned, even your vet owned, service disabled vet owned still goes through, kind of like some, I guess, go through the VA, but most go through SBA, and you really have to go through them in order to get these certifications. But if they're not communicative, it's very hard. So and it depends on the state. I have a friend who's in Texas, and she got all of her certifications like that because Texas has an amazing website that will help you get all the certifications that you need. South Carolina does not. So South Carolina, it's really hard to get connected with anybody in those aspects. Like I said, without our military community, I probably would have not lasted this long in business.
Do you do everything yourself? Like, are you like the main person? Like, are you roasting the coffee and bagging it and shipping it and doing all of it?
No. So I am partnered with an amazing roaster out of California. The only thing I don't do is the roasting and the shipping. Everything else is just me.
That's impressive,
Wow.
girl.
Yeah.
So if you guys, need a job in social media or something like that, I can't pay much yet, but
I wish I understood social media enough to help you.
Right.
Although I did explain how to do reels to my dad. He's gotten it. He's like, "Oh my God, reels! This is fun." Yeah. I'm like, "Oh my God, I created a monster."
Yeah,
should have never showed him.
Yeah, it's funny because most of all my social media has been I've been winging it. Mm-hmm. I am no expert, and I think with any small business, it really you're winging it.
I'm fairly decent at it, so maybe I could help you.
Please.
I hate it all. It's all basically my bane of existence, but I have to go on and post every Friday for our podcast. And while I'm doing it, I'm like, I hate this, but I'm doing it.
Well, I mean, I got to sell books, so I have to post to social media at least. I try to do at least 4 times a week because it makes all the difference.
It does. It does. I unfortunately do it every day. I do it every day because I'm still, a new business. It doesn't matter how far I've grown and scaled. I'm still a new business. And to get my brand out there, I have to put content out there. So I batch it month by month. It literally is every day at the same time. I have it scheduled. And anything outside of 10 o'clock is just in addition to, because something, came up that day. So it's like a, off chance type post. But even, batching it and thinking about what to say for these different days can be a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And like I said, I'm not creative. I don't write books. I'm not good with copy. So anything that you see, literally it's me winging it and hoping that it resonates with somebody.
Yeah.
Gotta love social
media.
The
likes and the follows and all, and beat the algorithms and whatnot.
I have to say, I stopped posting on the weekends because my weekends, I don't know about you, performed absolutely horrible because everybody's out doing things. They're with their family, especially during the summer. They're swimming, they're doing whatever. So I stopped posting on the weekends because it literally was doing me nothing but driving me crazy.
And have you noticed a difference? Like no difference?
Yes, my account does better when I do not post on the weekends.
I might have to try that.
Yeah, I don't know what the science is. I don't know what the algorithm, whatever it is behind it.
That makes sense to me because everybody's out. You're trying to not be on social media on the weekends.
I think that's what it is.
Actually focus on what you're doing when you're out, versus Monday through Friday. It's like, you get home, whatever. It doesn't.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's what it is. And I have a friend who's a fairly decent influencer. I think she's got 20,000 followers and she doesn't post on the weekends. So I'm like, well, if she's doing it, I'm going to.
Okay, hold up. Now that means what I can do is I can take the remaining weekends of this month and then the weekends that I did I have more content. So that actually helps.
See, there you go. Now you're set for an extra month. Yeah.
See, we're all helping each other out here.
Yeah. And I'll just see how it works. But I can tell you one thing though, is that everything that you see on social media is authentic. It's literally what you see is what you get. It's me in its crazy form.
I love that you post it yourself because it also gives people a way to connect with the owner and the CEO. You can't do that with all companies. So that's really awesome that you do it.
Sometimes you can't even get a response back from companies. Even medium size, not just a small business, but people in general.
I think it makes a big difference. For sure. Because we went here. I don't know if they were here when you were here. Probably not. I don't think they're that old. And Connie went too while she was here. There's a whiskey company here. And when you go to a tour, the owner takes you on the tour. You get to meet him and hang out with him. And how many companies do that? No, nobody.
My
Right.
husband was ecstatic over it because he had the owner sign his bottle. He's like, I bottled this whiskey, I labeled it, I sealed it, I corked it, and the owner signed it. Like, he's super proud.
That is awesome. No, I don't remember a whiskey company being there when we were there. I have customers reaching out to me via email, my info email, and I answer. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'd like to have that relationship with my customers and answer any questions that they may have, in hopes that, they'll be a repeat customer, and,
Mhm.
they'll want to be
So
part of our community.
So for your coffee, because it's been a while since I wrote these questions. Is it like a subscription for the coffee as well, or is it just like a one-time purchase, or both?
It's both. So you can set up a subscription, and there is discounts depending on how often you have coffee shipped to you. And there is a rewards and referrals program. So you can earn coffee, you can earn discounts, so many things. And there's the opportunity where you can just, purchase as needed basis.
Yeah.
I like that you have both options because
Mm-hmm.
it also gives the ability to like to try all the cool flavors you had. Because I think I saw you had like a bourbon one, which my husband would freaking love, and there
Whiskey.
was, yeah, or whiskey, yeah, and then there was a mint rainbow, and I was like, dude, I need to try
Mm-hmm.
all these.
Yes, the mint
They
rainbow is
sound
one of our
delicious.
newest. That and
Ooh.
sweet misery. I love sweet misery. Yes.
Sweet, sweet misery. Just give me a cup of that sweet, sweet
Yeah.
misery.
They all just sound
So
awesome.
yeah, and I named them all.
Yeah?
See,
Yeah,
you are
I named
creative.
them
You
all.
gave them all the cool names. You are creative.
Yeah, I named them all. We also do wholesale. So we have the opportunity to supply businesses if they
Oh,
want to use it or if they want to sell it. So we do have that. We do B2B and B2C.
nice.
You've been married for 17 years now that I know it's 17 years, not in the military 17 years. Do you have any marriage advice for our lovely listeners?
Oh my goodness. You have to have a really good sense of humor and
Yes.
play off of each other. That's the thing. So my husband and I, we are complete opposites. Like, I am aggressive, Puerto Rican Gemini. What do you expect? I'm crazy sauce. My husband is very passive. So it's almost like it's a running joke when people ask him, well, go ask your wife. Or when people ask him, well, why do you have to ask your wife? And he's like, you don't understand. My wife wears the pants in the family. So I run everything by my wife. It's just like we play off of each other. So if somebody were on the outside and looking in at our relationship, they probably might think we're a little bit crazy, but it's funny. It's running commentary between us in a conversation. And I don't know how else to describe it. We hit off each other and we just have a really good sense of humor, and we'll have really good conversations. Everything is delegated to me. I mean, it's not without its bumps. We have had a lot of times where I wasn't even sure if we were going to make it. There were times when there was a time period where we were separated. We were separated, living in two separate places, because we needed to have that break. We needed to reevaluate our marriage. We needed to reevaluate our relationship. But even during the entire separation, he was only 5 minutes down the street from me, but yet he was still at my house, with our kids. We still had, really good, he was my best friend, and he still is my best friend. Even though sometimes I want to knock him out, but that's marriage. It's not perfect. It's not easy. It is work. It's like another job, but it's worth it because you have somebody there going through the day to day with you. You have somebody that understands you. You have somebody that is just comfortable with you and just has been with you for so long, and somebody that has your back no matter what.
Yeah. How did you guys like decide to like patch things up and for like him to come back and stuff like that?
I moved. It was simple. It was simple as that. So I ended up, and this was pre-company, was years ago, but I ended up with a job opportunity down here in the Charleston area from South Carolina, like northern South Carolina. And it would have been about 3 hours away. Obviously the kids came with me. Even when we separated, we were still 5 minutes down from the street from each other, and he was able to come over at any point in time. I could pop over there. We had each other. But me moving 3 hours away kind of took that away. That's when he realized that, hey, this isn't happening. This isn't happening.
This isn't going to work. I don't like this.
He's like, no. We're, so he likes to say that he needed his pina colada. Well, he got it back. Yeah.
I love how it seriously takes that for men. Like, I've had to have that moment with my husband too, where I'm like, I'm going home to see my family. I need a break. And like the moment I'm gone, he's like, come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, why did it take me leaving for you to be like, okay, I need you to come back?
Yeah. They don't realize it. They don't realize it until you're really, really gone and you're not within close proximity. And they're like, yeah, there's something wrong here. This isn't right.
That literally happened to my brother and sister-in-law until like she actually moved out, because he's like, no, you need to get out. And then she got out and he was like, no, I'm gonna move in with you.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
Men.
Yeah. You don't miss it until it's gone, I guess.
I guess.
Right.
There's a song about that too. I guess there's a reason there was a song written.
Exactly.
There's a song about everything.
That's true. There is.
Yeah.
And that's why music is so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So when doing like a little bit of research for this little podcast episode, your website or whatever says that you're bringing coffee and community together. How do you view your company as doing that?
So it's the focal point of any conversation. So my mission is to be able to connect military spouses to one another during times of transition over a cup of coffee. In my experience, every time we would PCS, we wouldn't have any family near us. I wouldn't know anybody in the new location. My husband was the one who had the sponsor who got in contact with him, but there wasn't anybody for family during my experience. So for me, it's more like, if you see a new military family moving in, invite the spouse over for a cup of coffee and just get to know this person, get to know their family, get to know their kids, and see, if there's a way to link the kids up with other kids in the neighborhood. Because I know a lot of kids get displaced, especially as they get older and they already make these friendships and they have to leave those friendships for another location. Sometimes they take it really hard. So it's more of creating an inclusive environment for all military families during that time.
Because everybody can use a cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah.
When we moved out here to Hawaii, I was like, I am literally as far away from everything as humanly possible. Yeah. What now?
Mm-hmm. Right. And it would have been so much easier had somebody, brought you over and just kind of started that relationship building with you. Because I know for me, in my experience, the friends that I've made as a military spouse, they're still my friends. They are not in my area, but I know I can go to them and pick up where we've left off and have the conversation, even if it's virtual. I think what was it, earlier this year or last year? No, it was last year for Thanksgiving. I went down to Jacksonville and stopped by a friend's house that I haven't seen since Washington. And, we picked up where we left off, and she's amazing. That's kind of, what we need.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people now, because of COVID, have seen that you can still have a friendship even if there's distance, and you can still have these Zoom meetings and important phone calls and stuff like that, even if you're far away.
Exactly.
You can have a cup of coffee over Zoom, just like we are right now.
Exactly. Yeah. I need to start just having coffee, but it's always too late because all of our, meetings are always at 5:30. And if I have it now, I will be up for a while.
Unless you drink decaf.
And that's no
Maybe
fun.
Not. No, it's not.
My husband would be like, decaf in this household.
It's like, I disown you.
Yeah, basically. My one last question. So where do you see Southern Sweet and Sassy going from here? Do you want to expand?
Obviously, because I'm strictly e-commerce, I have the entire nation. So I definitely want to continue growing and scaling. In the beginning, when I created the company, the intent was to be just as big as Black Rifle, just on the military spouse side. That's my target market. Yes, I can. Yes, I'm part of the veteran community, but I'm also part of the military spouse community. And I feel as a military spouse, we need to have a coffee company that's strictly for us. that can speak to us and the connections that we make. I mean, I'd like to say we're bold and kick ass and, shooting things up, but that's not us. We're about family and connection and friendships. And so I just, I want to grow and scale to the point where we are a household name with military families, and, where everybody just knows who we are and said, yeah, we love their coffee. And
and that's just different branding. Like I just did an authors conference, and that was one of the big things we talked about. Like, your branding is just different than Black Rifle. Like, they are appealing to like the Marines, the kick-ass, the high caffeine level, where you're appealing. Where you're appealing more to the woman, calm, loving household. So they are. So you definitely can be on the same playing field as them, just in a different brand.
Exactly. And that's our intent.
Well, we hope that you get there, and hopefully our podcast maybe will even help you get there, at least a few new customers anyway.
Yes, that'd be amazing.
We will make sure there will be a link in the podcast notes so they can go straight to your website and order all things coffee.
Yes, awesome.
Thank you for joining us. This is How to Deal When Shit Gets Real, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and check us out on all of social medias. New episodes are out every Friday. Don't forget to rate and review.